We're going to get this show started with a guest that she's wonderful. She's from Kutztown University, professor. She's also the director of the Frederick Douglass Institute. Her name is Maria Sanelli. She is a Schuylkill County resident. And I'm going to turn the mic over to her, get this thing started. And I have a wonderful, wonderful show lineup for you. You will be blown away. The talent came from all over the place, counties surrounding. I'm just so pleased that I could pull this thing together in a short amount of time. I had a lot of cooperation. So without further ado, you'll hear me speak later on, but I'm going to turn the mic over to Maria Sanelli. Thank you.
So anybody here queer like me? No, I'm the only one? I don't hear you. Anybody queer? Right? Here we are. Here we are. We're all together in a very, very historic time in American history, and we're braving the epidemic. And this isn't the first time that the gay and lesbian, trans, bisexual, queer community has braved an epidemic. In fact, there are not too many gay brothers of mine that survived the gay epidemic, they called it. And I am without many friends who passed away before there was a vaccine, before there was a treatment. And I'd like to dedicate this short talk, a very short talk, to them. But that's not where my life has taken me in queer, gay activism. Where my life has taken me is in Black Lives Matter. My whole career has been dedicated to Black history, Black culture, and the reason for that is because the Black community embraced me from the very first time that I started in academia. And they recognized the skills that I had. They adopted me and gave me a position as a director of a Frederick Douglass Institute. And I have used my privilege for over 25 years to help raise up the voices and opportunities for those who have been disenfranchised by our society. So I want to also acknowledge that we're also here during a very historic period of history in Black history, specifically, and more importantly for folks of color. So with that introduction, I am thrilled that Michaela has put this together. I am the founder of the Schuylkill County Stonewall Democrats. When I moved up here 3 years ago, I saw there was a need to educate those who have maybe been isolated from larger political movements, to learn about queer history and queer politics and why we are active, why there was liberation movements, why there continues to be liberation movements, and why we need all of you here, every single person here, together, making a difference through your vote. Voting is the most important way to go about making change happen. But as some of you know, and you're reading in the newspapers, there are newspaper articles about mobs and riots and unruly people asking for social justice. Not asking, marching and demanding social justice. Well, we have Pride Month here in June to commemorate the Stonewall riots. We started as a community to demand our rights as a result of riots that took place not just in New York City in 1969, but the Compton cafeteria riots led by our trans sisters of color out in San Francisco, leading the way to gay liberation. So today I also want to acknowledge those brave people in 1960s who fought for the rights that we have. You see, in front of me, doesn't this look so gay? I mean, this is like a really gay backdrop. And with this rainbow flag, and it's a symbol of gay unity. And Michaela, it's so beautiful today that the theme for this very first festival, LGBTQ festival in Schuylkill County, is unity. Symbols are important. They've always been important. When I came out 30 years ago, the symbol that I wore was not the rainbow flag. The symbol that I wore was the pink triangle. The pink triangle signified the gay, lesbian, queer folks that were imprisoned, gassed, and killed during the Holocaust, during World War II. That was the symbol that I used. And, you know, the symbols that we have, the American flag, symbolizing life, liberty, and happiness for all people, have always applied to some people, not all people. And here we are at an LGBT, all the letters. Can I just say queer? We're here at a queer festival. But the united, or the unity theme of today, I wanted to point out to you, is not always present. I think we live in a disunited states of America. And it starts here with us today as queer folks or allies. You see, I am so appreciative that Michaela put me first today, being the L in the LGBTQ. You know, lesbians generally didn't come first. Before the 1980s, it was called the gay and lesbian movement. And gay came before lesbian. But nobody else was included. It was the G and L movement only. And our brothers and sisters who live in the binary, who are bisexual, trans, were left out. And then we added the Q meaning queer, referring to gender identity and sexual identity, that we're on a spectrum and that our identities are fluid. And we salute our queer brothers and sisters, and nibblings, and them, and they, and these, and all the different gender identity definitions. It's interesting because the flag, the queer flag, the flag itself was created in the 1970s. And it was created to represent all gay, lesbian, bisexual, and trans people. And as different groups of people came about and demanded their visibility, there were many flags created, and I see them around here. I see a pansexual flag. I see a gender non-binary t-shirt. There are so many flags. In fact, the rainbow flag you'll see now has a brown and a black stripe. The reason for that is queers out of Philadelphia felt that the black and brown communities have not been represented in the queer movement and needed a flag of their own. And that is the flag that flies almost all around the United States now, with 2 more stripes. So here we are. We're here unified together. I am thrilled to be now a Schuylkill County resident. My travels have taken me far and wide. I grew up in a little town called Kutztown, not too far from here. And I wanted to be gay when I grew up. No, I ended up being gay, right? It wasn't a choice. And to come out, I had to decide where is the healthiest emotional place for me to come out. Well, my classmate, his name was Keith Haring from Kutztown High School, and you might have heard of him. Anybody hear of Keith Haring? Yeah. Keith went to New York, became a very famous artist, and ended up dying of AIDS. I spoke earlier of those of my generation that are no longer with us. I went out to the Bay Area. As my brother-in-law said, that's where Maria got gay, right? It was the place where I could express who I am, be at festivals, dance. I learned gay music, I read gay books. And when I did, was I ghettoized my gayness. I was gay in the gayborhood, but I wasn't gay in Berks County. And lo and behold, my first connection to this county was when I was a bassist in a lesbian rock band out of Salt Lake City, and I toured the world, I toured the country. And as I came through here and I had a gig in Reading, I met a woman from Pottsville. And we started this torrid romance. Across the country, she would fly out to see me, and one of the things that ended up happening is I ended up moving here when my parents grew ill. And our relationship lasted 6 weeks after I got here. Why did it last 6 weeks? Because I was really gay. I had a mullet, I had a leather jacket, I had my motorcycle boots, and I was all about being a lesbian. Well, evidently Pottsville, maybe in the 1980s and 90s, wasn't exactly there yet. And there was a cultural conflict that kind of went on. And that relationship ended very quickly after I returned. So I found that if I wanted to express my gayness, I needed to go to New York or Philadelphia. And I couldn't express my gayness in Berks County. Well, I eventually came out as a gay professor. And there are consequences to coming out. My salary changed, was no longer promoted. I no longer am considered a scholar amongst my peers. I'm an activist. As if an activist can't be a scholar and a scholar can't be an activist. I have not been promoted for 7 years in a row after I came out, so I'm going to retire much later now. There are consequences. Today, there are consequences of standing up here right now and talking to you. My name is in the paper. This is being, I understand, live streamed. I am not only a professor, I am also a businesswoman. Our business is going to hire me now that I'm out and they know that I'm super gay. Are they not, or are they? My students in the evaluations, since I came out, the evaluations are not as good as before I came out. There are consequences. And then I'm told, just from this festival, in some kind of social media forum that I'm not in, there's all these nasty things said about this festival today, from local people spouting off about queers and just hateful, very hateful things. And I'm going to have to live with that today. You say, what do you mean live with it? Well, it means I'm going to get phone calls, I'm listed. It means that my mailbox might be hit. You see, the difference between being queer and not being queer is there's a dangerous element with that. I have been attacked leaving a gay bar. My physical body has been jeopardized. My wife's career, and I haven't told any stories about her today, and I won't, so that there's no repercussions for her with her clients in Schuylkill County. You see, coming out and being out, I commend all of you for being here today. It is an act of bravery of coming out. There was someone named Harvey Milk out in San Francisco who said many years ago that we all should come out. Because if we don't come out, nobody will know that their brothers and sisters and friends are queer. And if they don't know anybody that they love who is queer, the prejudice and discrimination and physical danger will continue. So I'm here to support my trans sister, Michaela, who is a trans person who experiences much more discrimination than I do. I'm here to walk my trans sisters to their car late at night and protect them because they are more likely to be attacked than I. So you might ask, what can you do as an ally? You can stand up, you can be here, you can party, but I'm going to ask you to do more. I'm going to ask you to walk your friends to their car. I'm going to ask you, if you're a business person, to hire a queer person because they already face discrimination when they out themselves and they need the financial help. But most of all, and this is the way I'm going to conclude today, I have one more thing to say, I guess. One more thing today, I need you to vote. I started the Stonewall Democrats immediately after Trump was elected. Right, when he was elected in 2019 or 2016, I knew that we needed to organize and we needed to educate young queers as to why this man is such a danger to all of us and our livelihoods. I am thrilled that the Supreme Court just passed a law that says that we will not face job discrimination and we will not be fired for who we are. But the current administration is working very hard to take away your rights. Coming up this year in the Navy, no trans folk are allowed to even apply to be in the Navy. Their rights, their health benefits as vets have been taken away. It is very important that you show up, not just for yourselves, but for the rest of the folks that are in the rainbow, in the flag, and it's important that we just don't fend for ourselves. In fact, I wanted to conclude with the rainbow and I can't find my damn cards. Oh, they flew. Anyhow, I want to point out to you, not that I have it memorized, maybe somebody does, that the flag itself represents very universal ideas. The red represents life and passion, right? The other colors, and I'm just going to skip because I don't have it memorized, represent harmony, love, justice. Thank you. Here's the cheat sheet. I looked this up early this morning because I don't have it memorized. So red is life, orange is healing, yellow is sunlight, green is nature, blue is harmony, purple is spirit, and that's what the rainbow flag represents. All of us together, unity in spirit, but please vote too. Thank you very much.
This broadcast is brought to you by MHP TV and our Patreon supporters. If you'd like to support more content like this in the future, please consider supporting us on patreon.com/MHP TV. And be sure to subscribe to Powered and Protected by Rainbows. Watch Powered by Rainbows Season 3, only on MHP TV.